Welcome to Old School Movies podcast, where I, Nora, your host, will share my reviews on some old but gold box office hits in the late 1990s and early 2000s. Rest assured I will try not to spoil much of their golden details so that you can sit back and enjoy them later. For our second episode, let's dive into my top 2 movies that retell true stories of the Holocaust in World War II. For this special episode, I decided to split it into 2 different parts. Each will present one classic movie, illustrating the setting of this critical event in human history. Hopefully, this new format will make it easier for you to absorb quite a plethora of information. Today, I'll handle the second part. You can scroll through my blog page for more information on the previous part. But if you haven't listened to it, rest assured that it should not disrupt your comprehension of this part. Okay, now let's start today's part. The end of the Holocaust marked on 8 May 1945, followed by Germany's surrender, which put a full stop to World War II. Around 6 million Jews were exterminated in different camps, while 3.5 million of them miraculously survived. As of January 2024, about 245,000 Jews who survived from the Holocaust are still alive. Scanning through those data, I wondered what could be the miracles behind their survival through such a dead-end event in human history. Were they the minor lucky people? Or was it because they were intelligent and persevering enough to successfully hide from the Nazi Germany? Eager to look for the response to such a question, I came across the term Schindler's List. I was surprised and I had no idea at the time why Google suggested this list to me when being asked for information regarding the Holocaust. Since I was curious about the relevance between this list and the Holocaust survivors, I decided to dive into this Google suggestion. Now, looking back, I believe that I made the right choice. Schindler's List is a 1993 American historical drama, directed and produced by Steven Spielberg. It is adapted from Thomas Keneally's 1982 novel, Schindler's List. The film tells the story of Oskar Schindler, a German businessman who rescued over 1,000 Polish Jewish refugees from the Holocaust by employing them in his factories during World War II. Initially driven by profit, Schindler gradually develops a sense of responsibility for his Jewish workers as he witnesses the horrors inflicted by the Nazi. Witnessing the brutal Schutzstaffen or the SS officer Armand Gut overseeing a concentration camp nearby, Schindler risks his fortune and life to save as many people as he can. With the help of his Jewish accountant, Itzhak Stern, Schindler compiles the list containing the names of more than 1,000 Jewish men, women, and children who Schindler claims as essential workers for his factories. Schindler is able to protect his Jewish workers from execution by transferring them to a safer factory in Czechoslovakia, far from the violence of the SS. This list becomes their lifeline, as being on it spares them from being sent to Nazi concentration camps, where they could face almost certain death. Watching Schindler's List is an emotionally overwhelming experience for me, and it left me thinking deeply about the meaning behind the film. At its core, the movie is about the moral transformation of one man, Oskar Schindler, and the impact that a single individual can have in the face of unimaginable horror. Schindler starts as a businessman, driven by profit, indifferent to the suffering around him. But over time, he comes to realize the true cost of what's happening under the Nazi regime. For me, this transformation symbolizes the power of human conscience. It made me question my own actions. How often do we turn a blind eye to injustice because it's easier, more convenient? One of the most striking aspects of Schindler's List is that it was filmed in black and white. At first, I wondered why Spielberg chose to do this, but as I watched, the lack of color began to make sense. The black and white imagery felt like it stripped away any distractions, forcing me to focus on the raw emotions and stark realities of the Holocaust. The absence of color added a timeless quality, as if the events we were witnessing could have happened in any era. Yet, it was painfully specific to that dark chapter in history. The black and white also made the contrast between light and darkness more profound. Schindler's moral journey from a man indifferent to suffering to someone who becomes a savior stood out sharply against the brutal cruelty of the Nazi regime. And when Spielberg does use color, like in the famous scenes with the little girl in the red coat, it was devastating. That single flash of color symbolizes innocence and vulnerability in a world of overwhelming darkness. It made her fate, and the fate of so many like her, impossible to forget. In the end, what stayed with me was the message of hope amidst despair. Despite the overwhelming cruelty and death, Schindler's actions saved over 1,000 lives. The scene where he breaks down, lamenting that he could have saved more, was a powerful reminder of the preciousness of every single life. It left me thinking about the ripple effect of kindness, the importance of standing up for what's right, even when the odds seem insurmountable. Schindler's List doesn't just ask us to remember the past. It challenges us to be better, more compassionate, and more courageous in the present. The stories from The Pianist and Schindler's List teach us powerful lessons about humanity, resilience, and moral courage during one of history's darkest times. While we may never fully grasp the horrors of the Holocaust, these films remind us of the unbreakable strength of the human spirit and the importance of kindness in the face of unimaginable cruelty. The stories behind these films remind us that learning history is far more than memorizing dates and events. It's about understanding the profound human experiences that shaped our world. By revisiting these difficult chapters of our past, we not only honor those who endured unimaginable suffering, but also gain insights into the resilience of human spirit, the importance of compassion, and the courage it takes to stand against injustice. History teaches us not to remember, but to act, ensuring that the lessons of the past guide our actions in the present and the future. As we reflect on the past, let us carry forward the message that even in the darkest moments, hope and compassion can shine through. The responsibility to ensure such atrocities never happen again rests with us. And it begins by never turning away from the suffering of others. So that's the end of my sharing today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and found it interesting. For your convenient reference to the historic events I mentioned, please find the links to my blog page in the description, where I have compiled all the related information. If you have any questions or you want to discuss more on what I shared today, please leave your comments below. I would like to talk to each of you more as well. You can search for more episodes of this Old School Movies podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and my own blog page. Thank you for listening to today's episode all the way to the end. And I hope to see you again in my next episode of Old School Movies, which will be released soon. Once again, this is Nora, your host. Thank you so much and goodbye.